Hi, welcome to another edition of the Alan Rosenberg Show. I was not planning on doing another video. I just did one yesterday, albums I hate from artists I love. But I got a comment on that video today, a couple of hours ago, from Sika1. He watches the channel a lot, always sends comments. I'm butchering your name, I'm sure, and I apologize. But he said, hey Alan, did you see Phil's channel now spinning? And I love Phil's channel, he's amazing. He said he did a video on his top 10 guitarists. So I'm like, no, I haven't seen it. And actually, I haven't. I really want to see it. But here's the thing. So I got like 450 videos. I could count on one hand the videos I've done that I really took from other people. It's always my concepts or concepts that you, the viewers, recommend to me, ask me to do. But this is a good one, top 10 guitarists. I wasn't going to do it today, but I really want to watch his channel and see what he chose, but I don't want to be influenced. So I'm sitting there at White Castle having dinner, and I'm like, the hell with it. I'm going to squeeze this video out right now, because the 10 pretty much came to me pretty quick, plus 3 runner-ups that I'm going to show. Actually, 4 runner-ups. So without further yapping, at number 10, these are my 10 favorite guitarists. They're probably going to surprise you. Maybe to a certain extent. Now, at number 10, might surprise you. Number 10 is going to be Richie Blackmore. So here's the thing. You know, I grew up, Deep Purple was huge, and I'm a fan of Deep Purple. Got a lot of their albums. And then got into Rainbow. I like some Rainbow more than others, but I like Rainbow. In actual fact, I probably listen to Rainbow more than I listen to Deep Purple, actually. But the funny thing about Richie Blackmore is I really got into Richie Blackmore, ready for this? From Blackmore's Night. I had picked up this album when it came out, Shadow of the Moon. And this album blew me away. I didn't stop. This was like a huge life-changing album for me. That's how much I love this album. Then I got Under a Violet Moon. I have almost all of their albums, actually. But they get kind of samey. But this album changed my life. And it's more acoustic and Renaissance-like, and you really hear Richie Blackmore's incredible guitar talent. I've gone to see Blackmore's Night live many times with my family. We always love it. He's right there. His guitar playing, and he plays all the different string instruments, is just incredible. He's melodic. If you know me, if you know my channel, I am very much about melody, hooks, and he just does it in spades. So if you want to check this album out. This is a great album. But if you want to taste, he doesn't even really play much electric in Blackmore's Night. But you see that last song there, Wish You Were Here? That is one of me and my family's favorite songs of all time by anybody. And at the end, it's an incredible song. If you've never heard it, go play it. You will thank me. Trust me. But at the end of it, you could hear some incredible guitar licks that are in the background that fade away. And then on one of the other Blackmore's Nights album, Fires at Midnight, the title track is an acoustic track, but at the end of that track, he straps on his Stratocaster, and he just blazes away. And it's just chill-inducing. Number 10, for me, Richie Blackmore. Okay. At number 9 is going to be the late, great Stevie Ray Vaughan. You know, I remember when he first came out with Texas Flood, you know, I thought it was great. Killer band with him. I love the way he plays, you know. And then when you watch him play live, you know, like here's Carnegie Hall. There's a lot of live shows. Here's a double Stevie Ray Vaughan, Double Trouble live, two shows. He is just amazing live. I love a good, clean lead guitar, Fender typically, maybe. He is so clean, and he could do everything. Play with a lot of speed, but tasty. He's just so awesome. What a tragedy. If you don't know Stevie Ray Vaughan, you know, you could even start with like a greatest hits. I have all of his albums, and I love Stevie Ray Vaughan. What a tragedy. I kind of say he kind of reminiscent in a sense, maybe, that clean lead guitar sound of Eric Clapton. He's kind of like, to me, Eric Clapton on steroids in a good way. So at number 9, Stevie Ray Vaughan. At number 8, who did I pick for number 8? This is going to surprise a lot of people. But if you know me and you know my channel, I am a really big fan of Peter Frampton. Always have been. And that's a rarity, because after I'm and You and where I should be, and nobody was paying attention to Peter Frampton. I was. I bought every Frampton album when it comes out, and I'm a really big fan. And I think that Frampton is pretty unique as a rock and roll guitarist. Most guitar players are kind of blues-oriented. It's steeped in the history of rock and roll. He's kind of jazzy and plays really cool chords, and you really don't pick up everything that Frampton does until you really, really analyze it and listen to it, and you're like, wow, you know, that guy could really, really play. And when you mix that in with some great songs, he's killer. So for me at number 8, Peter Frampton, the best live album ever made. I've done a whole video on why it is. Frampton Comes Alive. I mean, just listen to Lines on My Face. I Die and Go to Heaven when you hear that. There's a deluxe edition of that album where he put extra songs on there, and the track listing was the actual track listing of the concert. But this is just perfection, this album. Great guitar work on it, especially Lines on My Face. Now, he has done a couple of instrumental albums. This one was called Fingerprints, which is good. He even won a Grammy on this one. And then he did another one called Frampton Forgets the Words. So, you know, he started very late in his career being appreciated more for his great guitar work, which he certainly deserves. And he certainly deserves that. So Frampton Comes Alive, Peter Frampton, my number 8 favorite guitarist of all time. At number 7, well, you know, I'm a huge fan of The Who, and Pete Townshend I just love. Of course, he's an amazing songwriter. I even love his voice. He's a conceptual genius with The Who. But if you think about The Who, they're just a triple band. You know, he does all the guitars, Entwistle's huge on bass, Keith Moon, let's say, was on the drums. But Townshend just covers so much ground, and all you got to do is listen to, like, Tommy. This is just the guys in The Who. I mean, this is like a symphony, man. There's a lot of sound on Tommy. And, you know, he virtually invented hard rock with Live at Leeds. Blistering, you know. And, of course, Who's Next? And then, of course, my favorite out of them all, Quadrophenia. So, yeah, I am a huge fan of The Who, and I'm a huge fan of Pete Townshend live. And, you know, I'm going to talk about Jimmy Page later on, but you listen to The Who live, bootlegs, you know, they are monstrous live. And it's all pretty much on Townshend's shoulders. And he pulls it off. You know, he's not the best lead guitarist, but he can play lead. But, boy, what a rhythm player with lead. Pete Townshend, 10, 9, 8, number 7 favorite all-time guitarist for me. Number 6, we are going to go with Steve Hackett. Now, if you know me, I am a huge fan of early Genesis. I was an early adopter. And me, like a lot of people, kind of took Steve Hackett for granted until he wasn't in the band anymore. And they drastically changed, you know, when they did And Then There Were Three, there was no more Steve Hackett. And I like that album, but it's so keyboard heavy because there's really a lack of guitar because Steve Hackett was gone. And then after that, with Duke and the rest, they completely changed their sound. But that early Genesis, you know, even going to like Nursery Crime with like the musical box and Hogweed and Fountain of Salmacis and the beautiful, you know, For Absent Friends and Harlequin. There is magnificent guitar work on that album. And of course, Selling England by the Pound, which has one of the greatest guitar solos of all time, Firth of Fifth. If you never heard Firth of Fifth, that's the one you need to hear because Steve Hackett will take you to heaven. And it's the magic of it. It's not how many notes you can play, because he doesn't play a lot of notes on Firth of Fifth solo. It's just exactly what it needs. It's got space, and it envelops you, and it takes you off. And there's a great version of it on Seconds Out, the double live record. There's great stuff on Seconds Out. Now, of course, he kind of left the band. Part of the reason why is they thought they mixed him down in the mix a lot. You don't hear his guitar as much. I do have a lot of bootlegs from that tour, but I love Seconds Out. I think it's great. Wind of Wuthering, there's some amazing guitar work from Hackett on there. And, of course, he's got a huge solo career. Some of it's great, some of it's not so great. But this was the first one, Voyager to Acolyte. Great stuff on here. Steve Hackett, Number 6, favorite guitarist of all time. You have to have heard, I would assume you've had to have heard Firth or Fifth. That's an essential one. At number 5, well, if you know my channel, you might not be surprised, but we're going to include 2, maybe 3 guys on here. Number 5 is Wishbone Ash. Wishbone Ash really, in a sense, invented the twin guitar sound. The Allman Brothers were doing it around the same time in America, but they didn't know each other. And Wishbone Ash is, for me, everything I love about lead guitar solos in songs. They're melodic. They're lyrical. It's not about speed, although there is some speed sometimes. It's tasty. It's hooky. It stays in your brain. You play air guitar because you have to, because it's so damn great. And if you really want to hear Wishbone Ash, you need to check them out live. I'm talking about the classic Wishbone Ash. Now that's Andy Powell and Ted Turner with the first go-round, and you would hear them on live dates. It's a great place to enter them. That was a place where I discovered them for sure. But then they brought in Laurie Wisefield, who I actually thought was a better lead guitarist, and they even took off to another level, and you get things like Live Dates Volume 2, which is incredible. Tracks like Living Proof and Persephone, and there's so many. This is a great show. I've been mentioning this to other people. Wishbone Ash live at Rock Palace, 1976. New England is my favorite album by theirs, and this is the New England tour, and you get things like Lorelei, and check out like Lifeline. There's so many amazing Wishbone Ash tracks to hear with that lead guitar, and they weave. You know, the Stones like to talk about guitar weaving. Ronnie Wood and Keith Richards. This is guitar weaving, man. This is real guitar weaving. Wishbone Ash, for me, at number 5, favorite guitars. Andy Powell, Ted Turner, Laurie Wisefield. I know it's a cheat, but it's legit. Let's keep going. At number 4, we're going to have David Gilmour. I mean, unique sounding. As soon as he plays, you know it's him. Certainly, you know... I mean, you talk about, does it get any more powerful than Comfortably Numb, you know, from The Wall? You know, it's that perfect joint between him and Roger Waters' theme and conception, but Gilmour melodically taking it to another level with his unique guitar work. I used to go to bed in 1975. I was 12 years old. I used to listen to Wish You Were Here, and his gorgeous guitar work on Shine On You Crazy Diamond throughout that whole album just takes you away. And even latter stuff, you know, stuff on Division Bell, he's just so unique. And of course, his solo records. David Gilmour, unbelievable player, just so melodic. And that's what you keep hearing me say, melody, melodic, things that stick with you. And it does. It's such an important part of music. And some people don't really get it. It's not just about how many notes you can play. It's what you play that sticks with you. David Gilmour at number 4. Next up, number 3 is going to be none other than Mark Knopfler. I love Mark Knopfler. When I got the first album when it came out and I heard Sultans of Swing, it literally changed my life. I've never gotten bored of it. If I put on Sultans of Swing right now, I'm standing up, I'm playing air guitar, because in my brain I know every note of that guitar solos. It's incredible, and it's not just Sultans of Swing. He's so damn tasty all over this. And then, you know, what about the third album? All of the albums. I've done videos on Dire Straits, but does it get any better than Tunnel of Love? Oh my God. I literally soar and take off, and it just takes you to another place. I mean, he can do it all, and he does it all. You know, you got Love Over Gold, which is almost progressive, you know, with Telegraph Road and these textures and moodiness. And even Brothers in Arms, where people would like to make fun of it. Are you kidding me? Do you listen to Brothers in Arms? Have you heard the title track of Brothers in Arms? How could you not just envelop it, and it fills you with so much sound, and you just take off to heaven? And then, you really want to hear Mark Knopfler? It's not just in the studio, folks. The guy blazes live. Romeo and Juliet and all the rest. Alchemy, incredible live record. Yep, Mark Knopfler, for me, is number 3. So where does that leave us? where does that leave us? That leaves us with 2 left. And it's a bit of a cheat, but I have no choice. Because for me, who's going to be my favorite? You know, my favorite band of all time is the Rolling Stones. I know every song inside and out. And musically, a lot of them, if not most of them, comes from Keith Richards. You know, certainly looks-wise, and if you watch him in the 70s, he's the archetype rock and roll guitarist. He's a master rhythm player. He's a great writer. He's actually a lot more talented, or was a lot more talented on the guitar than a lot of people might give him credit. He actually can play lead pretty good, you know, kind of like a Townshend. He's a rhythm player, but, you know, Sympathy for the Devil, that original lead, that's Keith. Not difficult, but it sure is perfect. But, you know, it's the history of rock and roll, and if you don't know it, you know, pick up Hot Rocks. I mean, that's all amazing music there, and great riffs, and melodies. Always about melodies, and if you don't know the Stones, check out more Hot Rocks. Some more classics, you know. And musically, you know, Keith is the guy there, right? He is the guy. So he would be my number 1, and number 2 would be Mick Taylor, because they never recovered after Mick Taylor left. You know, Brian Jones, fine guitarist, but he gave up guitars very early in his career, and he added a lot to the Stones' textures and greatly improved some of those classic early songs. But Keith was carrying the load on guitar, and then they brought Mick Taylor in. And at least for me, they were never better than they had Mick Taylor, you know. And just check out them live on Get Your Yayas Out. Oh, my God. You know, listen to Mick Taylor's lead guitar solos on, like, Love in Vain and all of these tracks, you know. That's guitar weaving, but there was a separation in the band, you know. Taylor's playing the lead usually, and Keith is playing the rhythm. And you got it in Sticky Fingers, of course, and Exile on Main Street. I mean, this is just a history of rock and roll here, and Keith and Mick Taylor are something else. Goat's Head Soup, you know, listen to, like, Winter and the just beautiful work, you know, just amazing. Funky stuff like Heartbreaker. And, of course, Mick Taylor doesn't get any better. And the Stones have never gotten better on guitar than the amazing Time Waits for No One on It's Only Rock and Roll. And then Mick Taylor left the band, unfortunately. So, yeah, the Rolling Stones, number 1 and number 2. Keith Richards, number 1. Mick Taylor, number 2. At number 3, Mark Knopfler. Number 4, we got David Gilmour. At number 5, Wishbone Ash, Andy Powell, Ted Turner, and Laurie Wisefield. At number 6, Steve Hackett. At number 7, who do we have at number 7? Pete Townshend? Yeah, Pete Townshend, number 7. Number 8, Pete Frampton. Number 9, Stevie Ray Vaughan. Number 10, Richie Blackmore. Who is missing? There's a couple of people missing, just falling outside that top 10. We're going to talk about Eddie Van Halen. I like Van Halen. I'm not a huge Van Halen fan. But like anybody who was alive at that time, you got to appreciate the greatness of Eddie Van Halen's guitar work, tapping, you know, and all of that. Now, of course, Steve Hackett was doing tapping way before Eddie Van Halen even picked up a guitar. Don't believe me, listen to those early Genesis albums. He's tapping like crazy on those albums. But it doesn't matter. Eddie Van Halen took guitar to a whole nother level back then, and he deserved all the accolades that he got, and certainly a tragedy that he passed away. Who else is missing? Well, Jimmy Page is missing. Big Led Zeppelin fan. But to me, obviously Jimmy Page was a great guitarist because he was a studio musician and was really famous, as was Richie Blackmore, actually. But, you know, I always find Jimmy Page live really sloppy. If you have Led Zeppelin bootlegs, you know, my God, he's not clean in the slightest when he's playing. But he certainly was a genius writer. He's a great player. Certainly an amazing producer because the Zeppelin stuff sounds amazing, no doubt about it. But, you know, he just outside my top 10, that's for sure. Who else am I missing? Well, the obvious one, I guess, would be Jimi Hendrix. Hey, listen, I'm a fan. I got all the Hendrix albums. There's not that many original ones, but they're unbelievable. And, you know, what can you say? He's Jimi Hendrix. But I don't listen to Hendrix that much, and you know, when I do, I certainly really enjoy him and I appreciate him. But he's not in my heart and soul like these artists are. It's just maybe not my time. But certainly All Along the Watchtower is one of the greatest guitar solos of all time. That's on my list. And the other one missing, who I'm a big fan, Jeff Beck. And I have a ton of Jeff Beck. So amazing guitarist, unique. And nobody else really kind of sounds like Jeff Beck, right? But not the best songwriter. He's more of somebody who he takes existing songs and makes them in his own style. So there you go, folks. I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you, Sika. Please let me know how to pronounce your name again. I'm massacring it. But thanks for this suggestion. I'm knocking this video out really quick. But it's really fun because it's a great topic. And then I'll be able to watch Now Spinning's choices. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed this. And I certainly did. And keep the suggestions coming. I have pages and pages of suggestions. So bear with me. I'm going to be busy for the next couple of days. So enjoy this video. Enjoy the one I did yesterday. I'm actually going to be guesting in 40 minutes on another channel. I've done it a couple of times. Curless Mania, we're going to be ranking the Yes albums. So I'm looking forward to that as well. So thanks for having me guest. I certainly never mind being on other people's channels. I've done it. So thanks so much again. Alrighty, folks. I will see you next time. Oh, hit subscribe if you're new to my channel. Why not? It helps me, helps you. I got 448 videos. I've been doing this going on 5 years. A lot of good content. I hope you will agree. So I hope you enjoyed this Top 10 Guitarists. I'll see you next time on the Alan Rosenberg Show.